Unique venture clubs, DAOs, governance, SPL governance. Here you go.
That's all. Okay, so my name is Nikola. I'm here to talk about the foundations of governance on blockchain. I was told to keep it as technical as possible, but I was expecting that some of you might not be familiar with smart contracts and with on-chain programs. So I would like some feedback, because if I talk to myself for extended periods of time, I start talking gibberish. So please stop me and correct me if I say something that's not correct. So this is just one slide about me. I'm a PhD candidate at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. My area of research is biomedical signals and data processing using machine learning. And recently I took up a blockchain application in biomedical engineering. I am a researcher and teacher's assistant, and I'm a blockchain developer at Unique Ventures. So, when I received the note that I need to give this lecture, the title was in Serbian, and it said the control of, to translate it directly, to the control on-chain control. And being a mechanical engineer, and I teach signals and systems, this is what I think about. You need, you define an object, a control unit, you give that object a signal, and you get the desired output. So this is it about my mechanical engineering. So I'll leave it here. So what we have on-chain is a program giving a signal to an account, and the output is some kind of state change in the account. So you received questions, do you know what an account is? Everything on Solana is an account. It's a block of memory basically that's standardized, and accounts hold data, they hold programs, they hold your money. So does anybody know how would you transfer your assets or souls, for example, from one wallet to another? How does the process go technically? Yeah.
Pališa takes it.
Yeah.
In a big bag.
Yeah. So does anybody, can anyone tell me? It's right there. So you have your key pair, and that's a public and secret key pair. So what you do is you have your wallet that's authorized by you to give out some assets, for example, souls. So if you want to transfer your souls from one wallet to another, you would need to sign the transaction that holds the instruction transfer souls from one wallet to another. And the system program that takes this instruction reduces the souls on your wallet and increases the souls on the other wallet. So that's the basic principle of transferring of souls on the Solana blockchain. So what happens if I want to store some money or souls on the blockchain and I don't want to be able to get it out until I collect enough? So basically make a piggy bank on chain. How would I go about it? Can anybody tell me? Yeah, it's right there. So what happens is I make a smart contract or a program on chain that owns some account that would store my assets. And what I would do is tell the system program to transfer assets from my wallet to the PDA account that it's authorized to control. And so I would repeat this process until I reach a certain point where I have enough assets that I can withdraw them and the logic of whether or not you have enough assets in your account is stored in the smart contract. So the smart contract dictates the logic whether or not you have enough money to take it out. And if I give the instruction to the program, give me back my money, if you have enough defined by logic, you would get the money back. So this is like a piggy bank example. So I have my two friends here, and they know nothing about Solana. And they're like, okay, so we saw some kind of espresso machine being sold for, I don't know, 5 sols. But we can only collect 2 now, and we want to, store some money and maybe in a couple of months buy it. So you know a lot about Solana. You take the money, you store it in your wallet, and then when we have enough, you buy that espresso machine. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And they give me their sols. And after 2 days, I see some cool NFTs, and I'm like, yeah, I got money, and I buy them, and the price drops, and I lose all the money. So, is this the crypto way? So, can we avoid this? How we do it? Do you know about multi-sigs?
Yes.
So, basically, we would define you can't sign for a wallet multiple times, but you can sign a transaction, you can require a transaction to be signed multiple times. So what happens, we define a logic inside our smart contract to only give out money if the transaction is signed by all 3 of us, all 3 of our key pairs. And then we can withdraw the money, or, for example, give it to the guy that's selling the espresso machine. Okay? So this is where we hold the logic, and this is the account. It's color coded. So this is the account that stores our money, and once we have enough, we give out that money. It reduces the amount in our account, and it gives this account an increase in the same amount. So, does this guy need to accept the transaction? Do we need an instruction to accept the money? No, because everybody wants free money. No, so we only need to define the part where we take out the money. Anybody can take the money that we give him. Okay, so we can take this to another level and add a layer of logic to it and implement an on-chain DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. And the way we do it on the Solana blockchain is with the SPL governance program. So, has anybody used the SPL governance except me and that guy? No. Okay. Okay. So, what happens is that the SPL governance is, as you saw on the previous slides, the owner of the assets, and it defines the logic of whether or not you can take the assets out and give them out, or if you can change the asset, the state of the asset. And yeah, it defines the rules that you can actually that you have to hold up to be able to change those the state of those assets. So this is a small schematic. The SPL governance program, you communicate with the SPL governance program, and the first thing you do is define the realm. So what a realm is an account that stores what, among other things, what type of mint do you want to use to govern your assets. I'll explain what that is. So you would define a mint of the token you want to use, and then you would make a community token holding address. What happens is that later on we'll see how, but once a person pours his resources in the community token holding address, the resources that's used to govern, he receives a voting right So the SPL governance way is the way of making proposals and voting on those proposals on whether or not what you want the action to be. The action with regards to your governed account, to your assets. So when a person comes in and pours his resources in the community token holding address, he receives in return voting rights for the realm he created. And basically when he creates the realm, community token holding address, he needs to create the rules, which is the governance account. Governance account stores those rules. He created the realm, the community token holding address, and the governance, I mean the rules by which the governed account is governed. And people can come in and pour their resources and in return receive voting rights. Those voting rights are stored in the token owner record under the voter weight parameter. So if I pour 10 tokens in the community token holding address, I get 10 votes. If somebody else pours 15 tokens, he gets 15 votes. If a proposal is created later on, and we propose on a certain action, for example, if the governed account is a token account, we want to send out those tokens, that's the action. We create a proposal and it's in voting state. So people can vote on that proposal on whether or not they want the action to be performed. And the governance sets the rules, and for example, those rules are maybe 20% of all total votes need to be yes so that the action can be performed, or the proposal needs to be delayed, or whatever. So when a person creates a proposal, the other members need to vote on those proposals. And we can immediately see that there is a problem, because when you get a lot of people involved and you set those governance rules at the beginning, people tend to stay inactive, to begin to get inactive, and you don't get any passing votes because not enough people voted. So once, for example, enough people have voted, anyone can trigger an execution instruction, and the governance program would trigger the action, and you can change the state of the governed account. For example, you can send out tokens, you can, if a governed account is a program, you can update it, and stuff like that. So this is the governance mechanism. You create proposals, and it's kind of a democratic principle, but you create a proposal and people vote on it. If enough people vote on it, the proposal gets executed. So we have two parameters that are crucial for this mechanism, and that's the total voting power defined within the realm and participants' voting power. So the community token holding address holds the entire voting power of a governance, and each member has its voting rights written in the token owner record. This is the vanilla SPL governance program. So what Sebastian Bohr did, the guy who created SPL governance, was leave out small add-in accounts that can be used to manually, or how can I say, you can customize your voting rights and the total voting rights of the club. And those accounts are voter weight record and max voter weight record. So what we did was create a program that communicates with the SPL governance, so it adds another layer of logic, and we govern an account that is the assets of our clubs, of our realms, and it's a treasury storing, for example, souls of our of our users, of our members. So we define the voter weights and the maximum voter weights of the club, and we hand it to SPL governance to look at it and use it to look at these governed rules and see if the proposal is passable or if it's defeated or if it's still in the voting state and so on. So what we did was actually eliminate the need for community token holding address, because you don't get votes for depositing your tokens in the club anymore. And we removed token owner record because we have the voter weight record holding the rights of our members in the club, voting rights. So let's start from here. We have expanded, you could see that, or maybe I didn't say it, but in the SPL governance, anyone can be a part of any realm. So all you need to do is pour your resources into the community token holding address, you get voting rights in return. So anybody can jump in, give more money to the holding address, and get more rights than you and sabotage you, for example. So what we did was create a layer of protection, so only people who are invited by the creator or the owner of the club can join in and participate in the governance of the assets on chain. So what an owner would do is invite certain people by using their pub keys, and he would create a member accounts that's only for them. So they need to accept those invites, and once they do, their record is written in the member addresses, and they can start participating in the governance process. So how are the assets poured inside the treasury? So people or members would call our support instruction, and they would pour their resources from their accounts or their wallets into the treasury, and that's how the treasury is filled up. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they have more voting rights. That's also a layer of customization that we added. So what we did was create, depending on the way that we handle voting rights in our clubs and max total voting right of our club, is we created or implemented role-based clubs where each member is assigned a role, and his voting power is dependent upon their role and not upon their input inside the treasury. And the other one is the same as the SPL governance. The more tokens you put in, the more voting rights you get. But there's a layer of protection in a way that only allowed members are allowed to participate. So only people who are invited can actually deposit funds into the treasury. And we have NFT clubs implemented. This is the latest stuff. So our CTO worked with Sebastian Bor on this, and they implemented a program that actually allows voting with NFT that's part of a collection defined in the creation of the realm. So if you have an invitation, you're a part of a club, and you have an NFT that's part of a certain collection defined as a governing collection, you have a vote that's equal to the amount of NFTs you have from those collections. So that's another way of governing assets that we're still working on. So this is our app. This is the front end part. Yeah, it's good. not like my PowerPoint presentation, but okay. So we can see that This is the part. It's so small. Yes.
But you can see it in full on our Discord.
Yeah, you can see it on our Discord.
More
Yeah.
images.
Yeah. So these are the NFTs. So basically, we have a process of buying and selling NFTs, and you can vote upon it. You can create proposals on whether or not you want to buy an NFT or sell an NFT. So if you want to buy an NFT, you would spend the money from your treasury where your souls are stored, and in return you would get an NFT that's coming inside your vault where NFTs are stored. So if you want to sell an NFT, you would sell an NFT from your vault, and the money that's coming in would come in inside your treasury. So if I remember correctly, this is the part of creating the club. You can choose if you want an NFT based, a token based, or a role based club. And this is a screen that shows all the active proposals that you can vote upon. And that's the way we handle governance in our current app. Any questions?
This is out of the blue and it's out of the subject that we were discussing. But
Oh, I like that.
yeah, me too. And you're mechanical engineering. How did you get into IT?
Well, I'm not exclusively a mechanical engineer. I have actually, I started 2 colleges, so, but I didn't finish the second one, and I went to various schools when I was, that's outside the regular schooling, so I have a background there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Specialize in mechanical NFT.
Yeah. Like cogs and whatnot, and screws.
When are you coming out from beta? When it's a public release?
Oh.
Wait for me.
Join our Discord.
This is where I leave. I don't know. I'm not privileged to that information. I really am not.
I'm gonna ask your designer.
Trust and grow.
Oh.
But I just want to make sure if I understood correctly. I have, for example, a Patreon page where different roles, different access to different contents. And I see my vision going out from making business on this structure and to use the DAO. So what you said actually, this is roles, is...
So you would get different voting power and different actions allowed within our program based upon your role. So for example, one role can create proposals, the other one cannot. And in the creation of the club, as we call it, you define the voting power of each individual role that's inside your club.
Should be combined with all other systems.
Well, yeah, the integration is the next part.
Just to give you an answer about when we're coming out. So we're in the process of private beta now with some select partners, some cool top NFT collections, some VCs. So basically all the use cases that we're serving, some gaming guilds. Also in the process of auditing our code, and this will be done. This will be done in a few weeks. So then we're going to go in public beta on DevNet first, and then after that on mainnet. So it's going to be very, very soon.
Cool.
But join our Discord.
Any more questions?
Yeah, please. Would you tell us how did you come with the idea first? Because it seems like it's kind of complicated to just think about it. So, like, just the explanation itself is kind of complicated to...
Yeah, I try to keep it as high level as possible, but it is totally complicated. And it's not a process where you sit down and, think of the way of doing this. It's a lot of iterations, a lot of attempts, and a lot of, really, really smart people, involved. And so there's a lot of people working on this. So it's not...
Okay, but for simple users, let's say I am, because honestly I didn't get fully the idea. So can you just put it in a few words, what is it about?
For example, you and your 9 friends, so the 10 of you, decide to make a club to govern, for example, one wallet. So you set up the governance, which is the rules, for example, the number of votes that you need to pass the proposal to make it successful. So for example, the 7 of you need to agree upon it. And for example, let's say you are all equal members, which is the role-based governance, and you would use the proposal to create, oh, let's buy this NFT for our money that's stored in our treasury, and the 5 of you are like, yeah, let's do it, and the 5 are like, no, I don't want to do it, and they vote upon, you all vote upon it, and if there isn't enough voting power to tip the proposal into a successful state, you can't execute that action.
What about the other 3? If the whole team accepts, they have to buy it too, right?
No. So that's part of the rules. So you define it at the beginning. Maybe you can update it later, but based on the treasury, you pretty much you can create different treasuries within one club and govern those treasuries. But that's it. So if you agreed on this, it's written on the blockchain. It's forever. So
which is going to be beneficial for the team because all of us were going to buy it. So maybe
But essentially you want to make it flexible, right? So you create the club in a way that fits your needs in the first place, right? So maybe you want to go fully centralized. Maybe you want all to put money together and say, okay, I'm going to be the one making decisions on that, but if we make some profits, we're going to be sharing those profits. That's it. Or you can go fully decentralized and say, like, everybody is equal and we all need to vote actually on that to make something, executed, right? So it's up to the end user to configure it.
It's for small scale, it's for large scale, for example, 3 people can participate, 1,000 people can participate based on that.
Of course, the better the better, the bigger the better.
Well, who knows? Maybe 3 people have $10 million and 100 people have $50, who knows? Who knows?
What is the proposal creation effect?
I don't think I have the screen, but currently we support buying and selling NFTs and proposals and discussion proposals. So what you would do is, for example, define the NFT from your collection. For sell NFT proposal, you would define the NFT you want to sell, or and you would define the amount you want for it, and people vote upon it. If the vote is passed, the action is executed, and the offer is posted on some of the DeFi's. So anyone can. And anyone can accept it because you don't care where the money's coming from. That's it. Or if you wanna buy an NFT, you would define a price you want to buy it for and what NFT you want to buy. If the proposal is passed, the transaction is executed and the offer is made.
General question, if you can. So now there are different networks that offering different. I try to understand it, but I know the DAO on the Ethereum network. So now the Unique is
Solana exclusive.
Okay.
No, but not for long. So we plan like a cross-chain implementation in the future.
So who will be able to be more versatile with other networks?
Yeah. It will be, for example, you could trade souls for Ethereum or that's what we are working towards.
So why to choose the DAO? Why to build or to choose doing DAO on the Unique and not on the main one right now? The fees also or all those things?
Why not use the SPL governance? Is that the question?
How one choose where to build the DAO?
So that's a question for the product team or the business team.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a very simple answer. creating a proposal or doing any kind of action on blockchain on Solana costs about 0.0004 cents. On Ethereum it costs a few $100.
This sort of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Okay, thanks everyone. It's been great to have you here. There is still some food out there and drinks, so let's go and mingle a little bit more. If you have any questions to the people who did presenting, you can ask them as well. We're all here for another, 20-30 minutes. So thank you for coming.